loving this music. So jazz, so cool. Blind men, they don't look very blind. Well, the guy in the middle's lost an eye, so maybe he can't see. He's still got the other eye. Like, you can still see. Anyway, but I saw this and I thought it looks weird, and I'm always down to try out some weird games. It only released like last week or something, so it's pretty new. And it's about supervillainy or something. It's a choice-based game. When I was 7, I was sent to live with my uncle. I had just lost my parents to a car accident. The same one that left the right side of my face disfigured. I wouldn't say the right side of your face is disfigured, mate. But losing an eye is definitely not amazing. It wasn't enough. Bullied by my peers and ignored by people that were supposed to help me. I didn't fit in anywhere. And I spent most of my childhood thinking that it was somehow all my fault. That's how I imagine this guy sounds. He looks kinda young, probably not. One day after I came home crying, my uncle pulled me aside and said to me, "People are fools, Keegan, blinded by their own stupidity. They seek to destroy what they don't understand. But people like you and me, we're different, we're better, never forget that." At that moment it all became clear. I finally understood what I had to do. I'd follow my uncle's footsteps and I'd show them. So what do you think? I'm only missing the essay section of the application. I don't know why the league even asks for one. There's nothing particularly evil about good grammar. We're bad at making a joke. The League of Evil is one of the highest authorities when it comes to criminal activity around the world. They can make or destroy a supervillain's career with a single word, and even those that don't answer to them know better than to oppose them. Membership is for life, and vacancies are rare. Rare and far in between. Even getting the opportunity to apply is difficult enough. I'm perfectly confident in my ability to deliver a flawless application, of course, but one can never be too sure. Which is exactly how I ended up asking one of my uncle's henchmen. So they're like supervillains, and he wants to become a supervillain too. Henchmen. It's about passion. Common criminals are a dime a dozen, but being a supervillain requires true dedication. Fuck yeah, it does. He claps his hands together in excitement. He's almost as enthusiastic as I am about the idea of me joining the league, which makes the fact that I have no idea what his name is rather embarrassing. Well, why don't you ask his name? He's just henchman. Henchman? It's not that I don't care. It's just that after blending together. During training, we watched a video of the boss's speech at the Allied Navy. It was wonderful. Half the room was in tears by the end of it. In like good tears or bad tears? Like, oh no, we're gonna die! Or like, right? Anyway, I should be reading. It's the one about how powerful countries abuse the vote system of the organization to legitimize their actions, isn't it? I've seen it too. It's really good. It's not. Okay, what makes him different from one of the other supervillains out there? You don't need to worry so much. Right from the heart, you'll do fine. This guy is not evil. We need to destroy him. Besides, your Sphinx's nephew. Is that his name? Sphinx? No, don't auto. I groan. Ugh. Don't even start. It's bad enough that people think I only got the opportunity because of him in the first place. The last thing I want is for it to actually be true. I'm like making up shit in my own head instead of actually reading. Getting into the league by my own merit is the only way I'll ever be taken seriously as a villain by them and by anyone else. Not to mention, he has this weird idea about how spending all my time down here is not good for me. And it's not something recent either. Because intelligence agencies, well, even we never seem too long.
in one place, yeah. The result was school from Atlanta. Homeschooled by a supervillain. Quite the thing. Finished my high school studies 3 years ago. What would that make him? Like just getting into his 20s or something like that? National college, normal people. Just subtle hints and the occasional comment which I accepted as his way of showing he cared about my future. Oh, since last month he'd been bringing a bunch of pamphlets home. He went as far as outright telling me that if I was having problem choosing, I should study engineering, like he did. Speaking of the boss, what are you planning to tell him? I have managed to keep the activation process secret for the better part of a year. A year? Is that how long it takes to apply or some shit? As proud as it makes me that he hasn't found out yet, I'm no fool. I know that luck has played at least some part in it. Besides, I meant it when I told the henchman that my uncle's the biggest inspiration. His approval means a lot to me. The next time I see him, I suppose, it will be better if he hears it from me now, and not from the League. After I get accepted. He hates being left out, and considering what I'm planning, he might just have a stroke. Well, here's your chance. He's heading our way. Now? We're not supposed to know until tonight. The henchman shrugs. I turn around and see my uncle walking through the door. He has never been a particularly expressive man, but he looks even more serious than usual. Good morning, boss. The henchman salutes him, and my uncle dispenses him with a nod, and he leaves. He silently mouths up, "Good luck," in my direction. Traitor! You're early. His name is Sphinx. Oh my god, he looks like a supervillain. He looks like Lex Luthor. There was an explosion in the lab. There's toxic material everywhere. And since it will take the cleanup crew a few hours to get rid of it, I'll tell everyone to go home for the day. I look down and notice that his clothes are stained with some kind of black substance. Instinctively, I take a step back. He looks down as well, shaking his head and waves his hand in a dismissive gesture. This is just oil. I was working on some of my old prototypes when I was informed of the explosion. What is that? I can't do voices. I should just stop. Anything I can help, boss? No. I want to clear up some space in the storage room. I'll get rid of whatever I can't get in working condition. How many times do I have to tell you that you don't need to call me that? Sorry, I spent so much time with the henchman, it rubs off after a while. Among other things. Uncle? Really? That was years ago, and it only happened once. As far as I know, only because he got eaten by a shark. Did I have a shark? Yes, the time the feeding cage malfunctions and our perfectly trained sharks decided to have him for lunch instead. What an unfortunate coincidence. The corner of his lips quirks in an amused smile. I barely resist the urge to roll my eyes. Have you had the time to go through the pamphlets? Entrance exam begin next month, so you should have to submit your papers as soon as possible. I spoke with Madame Mantis. She said that if you're interested in moving to America... We're not in America? Where are we then? I just kind of assumed you were in America. Ever since she retired, she has amassed quite a bit of contracts in the Board of Education. In fact, if you get everything else ready before next Friday, she'll personally write you a recommendation letter. That's pretty good. I've met her a couple of times. She was a proper villain. A proper villain. Sounds pretty good. The kind of woman that never does things out of the kindness of her heart. Meaning that she had to ask her for a favor, or she owed him one. Either way, I bet he's only telling me this so I feel pressured into enrolling. I'm glad that you brought it up, because I've been meaning to talk with you about that. You have! Does that mean you've chosen a college already? Yes, I've decided to go to Kansas University. Now where are they? Not exactly. Not exactly. Kick and cut to the chest. What if I told you I didn't want to go to college? He stares at me in silence for what feels like an eternity. Finally, he closes his eyes and begins to rub his temples. We've been over this before. You need to do something with your life. Instead of be supervillain. You do a good job around here, but you can't keep running around with the henchman forever. Wait, just hear me out. The reason I don't want to go to college is because I want to become a supervillain, just like you. In fact, I've already contacted the League. They think I've got a lot of potential, Uncle. They're just waiting for me to submit my full application. When did you even have the time to do that? Save it. That's not important. Helping me out and being an actual supervillain are two completely different things. Yeah, the League's application progress is infamously high for a reason, Keegan. Many people have died trying to impress the Count. Shit, that's pretty serious. Why do you even want to be one? Uncle, please. I've gone through this curriculum of every major college in the world. Several times, actually. They've got nothing to teach me. I could go straight to a doctorate for about every field I'm interested. Damn, this guy's smart. He's smart. Why should I waste my time on I thought I said frivolous activities, but frivolities. No one actually uses that word. Yeah, you can do something that matters. You are one that... What do you mean something that matters, though? It's a super villain. It's killing people and being a mob boss and shit like that. I've been helping you out practically my whole life. I'm not making an uninformed decision. I know exactly what I'm getting myself into. You sure about this? I'm even more sure about anything. Have you decided? Are you going to go? Have you decided how you're going to call yourself? Have you decided how are you going to call yourself? Is that English? Do you have base of operations? What about a plan? How are you going to pay for everything? Do you remember the weapons dealer that sold you that parts you were missing for the death ray? Of course he has a death ray. Turns out he also handles mercenary contracts, and he comes highly recommended in that regard. He said that he would lend me one of his bases and some people if I went over a couple. Am I actually going to get to play a game, or is no, just reading? I know it's not ideal, but it would be for a day or two. After I'm selected in the League, I'll have enough resources to get my own. He crosses his arms, and there's another moment of silence. His arms are already crossed. If you're serious about this, I won't be the one to stop you. But you are going to do this properly. Call the weapons dealer and tell him that you won't be needing his services anymore. Use my lair and my men. We'll draft a contract, and anybody asks, you rented them. Thank you, Uncle. I promise I won't disappoint you. Of course you won't. Now come. Tell me more about your plan. A month later, the National Museum of Science. Ah, we're in Germany. I can't do a German accent. I pretend to adjust a strand of hair behind my ear, pressing the button in my earpiece to increase the volume. Boss, I'm in the control. What happened? Boss, I'm in the control room. I've taken care of the security recordings. The police won't find anything in use in any of them. The men are all in their posts and ready to go too. They'll be waiting for your signal. I'll stay here for a little longer to keep an eye on things. Please let me know if you understood. Alright, see you in the auditorium, boss. As an aspiring supervillain, particularly one hoping to join the League, there are two things to be taken into account when it comes to carrying out plans. Visibility and chance of success. Just like there's no point in doing something so uninspired that it barely makes it to the local news. Yeah, you gotta like bomb something pretty big or rob something pretty valuable. I love this music. It's very simple. Feels very jazzy. Despite that, under normal circumstances, there wouldn't be anything particularly worth stealing here. Starting today, the museum will be hosting the Schultz-Holt collection of rare minerals. Its main piece being the famous diamond. Besides being one of the largest cut precious stones known to man, its purity and chemical composition make it one of the most versatile energy conductors in the world. In addition to the exhibit itself, the museum board has also invited Professor Schultz to give a conference at the end of the party. Whatever the fuck, Schultz. It's too late for me to be reading big words. in both fields to make sure that no other villain interferes. I told both the League and my uncle that I'd be planting bombs in the museum. So we are gonna bomb it. Holding the guests for a ransom. Very few people are willing to risk getting blown up by a first timer after all. But actually my real plan. Ah, so we get our first decision. We can either steal the diamond, or we can kidnap Professor Schultz. I think we should steal the diamond. Stealing. It's changed hands so many times to be authenticated every time it shows up. With so many important people here, a robbery is bound to get all the media attention I need and then some. Besides, I can think of a thing or two that I can do with the diamond stuff. Yeah, like it seems like it's a pretty useful thing. Pretty valuable too. There isn't much for me to do except wait. Go have a cheese cracker. Yum. It also means that I've had plenty of time to go over the plan in my head, including all the little details that could go wrong. I hate to admit it, but my uncle was right. Being the mastermind of a plan instead of just another person helping out is a completely different experience. It is, mate. Being the leader is no easy feat. But it doesn't matter. When I join the League, I get to tell the story whichever way I want. None of the boring parts, none of the doubt. Everything was perfect on the first try. I mean, we have to do it perfectly. If we fuck up, we're going to jail. In the end, I decide to go grab a drink at the bar while I wait. Yes. The bar is actually more of a counter in one of the corners of the lobby than its own separate place. It's meant for people who want to get something to drink without having to find a place at one of the tables or wait for the service to take their order. So I approach. The first thing I see is a man surrounded by a small group of people, most of them women. I can't get a good look at him from over here, but every once in a while, the whole group erupts in laughter. Ah, Playboy. After the third or so time that it happens, the bartender walks over from behind the counter and says something to them. They ask them to either lower their volume or leave, since the group begins to disperse right afterwards. Next to another blonde man. He leans back in his chair. What's this got? Okay. A very handsome boy. And he's got a pretty cool jacket, I guess. Okay. No wonder he was surrounded by women. He's pretty handsome. And the man next to him isn't too bad himself either. Definitely a much better view than what I had at the lobby. A moment passes, and the man in the tuxedo says something. They exchange a few words, but the expression on the blonde man's face is so unfriendly that they don't really go beyond that. If looks could kill. In any case, I don't have much time to think about it. In that exact moment, the first man turns around and eyes me. I look away to see if he'll do the same, but he doesn't. Instead, I can feel him staring at me. Oh no, that's not good. He makes a gesture to the bartender to order another of whatever he's having. Now with the additional glass in hand, he approaches, stopping right next to me and leaning against the counter. What's he doing? Hunter. Well, having fun. I'm not even going to bother doing a voice. For his body language and accent, I'd say he's American. You haven't fallen. I wave my hand in a dismissing manner. Not really. Watching the governor try to explain the merits of mineralogy. Mineralogy. Isn't it just geology? Isn't that the study of minerals and rocks? It's been the highlight of my evening so far. What was he? American. These things are usually more lively. Well, as lively as events of these sort can get. I don't know, I'm not fucking American. Last time there was this professor from Columbia. What was his name? Anyway, he's convinced that Schultz's mythology is faulty, and he always ends up causing a ruckus whenever they meet. But this time, the committee made sure that the guest list is as inoffensive as possible. You didn't hear it from me, of course. Of course. Drink. He raises the glass towards me. I saw him order it, but I didn't see the bartender pour it. So of course, I'm not going to accept it. I shake my head and pick up my own glass, almost empty by now from the counter. No thank you, I already had one. He shrugs and takes a sip. It's quite good, isn't it? German alcohol is one of the 2 reasons I'm... Have I ever had German alcohol? Let's find out. What alcohols are German? Jägermeister. I've had a couple Jaeger bombs in my day. Wouldn't say I'm a fan of it though. Yes, I'm actually doing this in the middle of this game. Underberg. I've had Bundaberg. It's pretty okay. I've never heard of like any of these. Gosse, Jägermeister, Riesling. Oh, I've heard of that. It's a wine, isn't it? I haven't had it. Okay, well that's solid. And the other one is Germans. By now it's become clear that he's flirting with. He's flirting with us. Well, well, well. Keegan, do you like men? Or are you a ladies' man? I am personally a ladies' man. I decide to try and get rid of him. If I was in this situation, if a guy was flirting with me, I wouldn't flirt back, but I wouldn't get rid of him. I wouldn't be like, hey, I'm straight, so fuck off. I don't know. I want to lead them on. He could be a spy. Let's get rid of him. I don't have time for loud drunkards, as handsome as they may be. He puts down one of the glasses and offers me his free hand. I resist the urge to roll my eyes and instead offer him a tight-lipped smile. The handshake lasts a couple seconds more than is strictly necessary, and instead of simply letting go at the end, he slides his fingers across my palm. Why? I raise my eyebrow, but I don't say anything. He's not even being subtle about the way he's oogling me. Johns, it's a pleasure to meet you. Likewise. Don't take this the wrong way, but you look kind of young for an academic. I'm still an undergrad. I'm hoping for a chance to discuss my thesis with Schultz before I submit it. Asking Schultz for his opinion? That's quite a high bar you set for yourself. What's your thesis about? It's kind of complicated. I'm a smart man. Go ahead, try me. God, why would you just leave? In simple terms, I'm researching to prove the accuracy of the tools used to locate and harvest petroleum deposits. It would make extraction quicker, cheaper, and more environmentally friendly. That's very impressive. Undergrad. Grin. He puts a hand on my shoulder and leans closer to me until his face is practically touching mine. I feel hot against my ear. Alcohol coming from him. Good kind, unfortunately. Is there a good kind of goosebumps? Like a tingly goosebumps. I take a step back to put some distance between us, hoping to throw him off balance. But instead of letting go or falling, he takes a step forward. We actually end up closer than we were before. Maybe we could discuss some of the ideas in private. Are you like this as well, your geologists, you mean? They are geologists. Well, is there a difference between a geologist and a mineralogist? Only with the ones that look like they could use... Wait, who's talking? Should I take that as a yes? Give me some time. Schultz, my thesis will have my head. Some other time then. He picks up the glass, chugs down the rest of the drink, and gives my arm a squeeze before turning and walking the other way. Man, that was intense. As soon as he's out of my sight, I let out a groan. Ugh, what a piece of work trying to pick up people in a place like this. No wonder he got told he got lost by the man at the bar. He was surrounded by women though. Is Keegan a guy or a girl? Actually, I'd never thought about that. I thought Keegan was a guy's name. What did he even expect me to do? He was lucky it was me. Anyone else would have punched him for his trouble. There's a buzzing sound from one of the nearby speakers, and I turn my attention to it. First call, please proceed to take your seats. The conference will begin in 15 minutes. When the announcement is done, I head towards the auditorium. Fuck yeah! Other than the first 2 rows, which have been reserved for politicians and the press, the seats aren't numbered. Terribly inconvenient for people that would rather secure a good place without having to enter early or wait too long in a line for it. On the other hand, it's perfect for someone like me that would rather not have a name attached to their tickets. I need to sneeze. Sorry. He directs me towards a free seat at the corner of the middle rows. Perfect. Direct entrance, like having to ask people to stand up so I can get to the stage. I was meant to read it. Okay. He talked to the other man at the bar and I don't get more than a side glance. Why do we care? It's entirely possible for him to just be some regular guy with bad social skills and poor German. And he didn't even attempt to answer in English either. I decide to give my gut feeling a try, and leaning closer to him, lowering my voice so no one can, I begin to speak to him in Russian. I heard that Russians have a lot of trouble getting travel permits nowadays, even those who have been to the Soviet Union. I can't even imagine how hard it is for actual Soviets to get out of their country. Intimidate? Mate, we will not be intimidated. Why am I interested in talking? Yes, that's what I was saying. Because he insists on ignoring me, because there's something suspicious about him. Do either of these matter? I don't think there's something suspicious about him. Some normal guy who's not talking. He insists on ignoring me. It's a matter of pride, really. And soon, one being myself, I need to keep a low profile. Hi, Sergey. Kinda like that name. Having an interest in geoscience is not a crime either. His German doesn't have any less of an accent. But because he doesn't have to whisper, it's actually easier to understand. Of course not. But you do know that he'll be giving the conference in German, don't you? And frankly, translations the museum usually hires are terrible. It's not even close to being the same experience. I'm speaking with you, aren't I? My German is good enough. Are they speaking in German? It's just being translated into English? It's quite different from a scientific representation. What do you really want? I'm just trying to have a conversation with the person sitting next to me. Why? Should it be about something else? No, of course not. Oh, that hesitation. Seems like I have to keep my eye on him. Please remain in silence for the duration of the conference. We'd like to remind you that photography is restricted to authorized press. Alright. Conference is about to begin.